What's going on, guys? It's Isaiah. Some of you guys have been following me for months. Some of you guys are just now finding my account, but this is going to be a different kind of video today. I'm going to be showing you guys exactly how I went from being 90 pounds insecure and hating the person that I saw in the mirror to becoming the version of me now that has a physique, has a confidence, and is able to impact others upwards to this point and dedicate my life to benefiting other people's lives and getting them into the best shape possible. So with that being said, this is not going to be one of those super fancy videos where you're just going to get a dopamine rush. So if you're not willing to sit down for the next 20 minutes, then realistically, you're not really cut out to even make the transformation that you want anyway. So if you are, grab a pen, grab a piece of paper, take some notes, because there's going to be a lot of value in this video showing you guys exactly what you need to do. So let's just get right into the video. All right, what's going on, guys? I'm going to tell you exactly how I gained 20 plus pounds of muscle as a hard gainer and how I was able to go from being this version of me that was skinny, insecure, literally hated everything about himself, to being the version of me now that is truly proud of who he sees looking back at him in the mirror and has the confidence to walk around without hiding his body or being ashamed of who he is. But before I dive in and give you guys all of the details and giving you guys the exact blueprint that you need, I'm here to tell you guys that I've been exactly where you are right now. As you can see in this picture right here, I was about 90, 95, maybe 100 pounds at absolute most. I was skinny, I was insecure, and I hated who I saw in the mirror. I tried everything. I was eating more, force feeding, looking at all this information online, but nothing was really working for me. And no one took me seriously. I felt weak and frustrated because of all of this. And after giving in all this effort and seeing absolutely no change, I started questioning if I was just meant to be this small forever. And this led me down a path of self-hatred, depression, and I just started spiraling down so much to the point to where I felt so hopeless and helpless and just hated literally everything around me, to the point to where I thought the only way for me to get out of the pain that I was in was if I were to just end my own life. But I ended up gaining over 60 pounds, got stronger, more confident, and completely changed my mindset. People started treating me differently. I got the respect, and my confidence completely skyrocketed. And now I coach skinny guys to escape the exact same struggle that I went through. And here's just one of multiple client transformations, but this is my guy, Jack. And it's always been one of my absolute favorite client transformations to this day, simply because he implemented everything that I said, so much so that he completely transformed his physique in less than 90 days. As you can see here, Jack was around 160 and he got all the way up to around 180 or 181 in the span of not even 90 days. And not only that, he obviously gained the confidence from the outside, but he also started developing a better mindset and was just becoming a better version of himself on the inside and out. But the truth is, a lot of you guys watching this, and I already know this about you, you're tired of being skinny, and no matter how much you eat, nothing changes. You feel ignored, overlooked, and no one takes you seriously. And deep down, you're starting to doubt if you're ever going to even be able to make that change. But you're not stuck. And a lot of you guys blame your genetics, but to be completely real, it's not your genetics at all. It's just the fact that you've been taking, or you've been given the wrong advice, the wrong information, and you've been implementing the wrong things. And that's why you've still been stuck upwards to this point. But today I'm going to give you the exact step-by-step blueprint that actually works for skinny guys like me and you. And the main reason why you're stuck, even if you're in the gym training hard, is number one, your mindset is your biggest enemy. You think you want to change, but deep down, you're scared to fail. You're procrastinating, you overthink, and you make excuses instead of actually executing. And this is one of the biggest things with you guys, is that you don't realize that thinking is one thing, but if deep down you're so set, or you're so comfortable in the position that you've been in upwards to this point, that is contributing to the fact that you are still going to be stuck no matter how hard you want to change. Until you decide to actually take that jump and to commit to something, then you're always going to be in that position. And this causes you to procrastinate, to overthink, and to make excuses instead of actually showing up and executing for yourself. Like, some of you guys sit here and say, oh, I can't gain weight because of my metabolism, or I can't do this, or I can't do that. And then you sit in your own self-pity and you don't do the things that you know you should be doing. And that's the exact mindset that has led you to being stuck upwards to this point. And number two, you don't have a actual muscle building problem. You just have an eating and execution problem. Like I said before, it's not that you can't gain weight. You just don't have the right strategy, or you're not applying the right strategy to actually pack on the size that you need to. And number three, some of you guys are just addicted to information and you're just not implementing anything. You watch videos, sometimes videos exactly like these. You read articles, but you never follow through, and you think knowing or overloading yourself with information is the same thing or the best thing that you can do. But if anything, has never been more the opposite. If you keep cramming information into your mind, you're just going to get analysis paralysis. There's so much information out there saying to do this, you shouldn't do this, you have that diet. Oh, this is optimal, this is not. And there's so many different contradictions on the internet that if you continue to just overload your mind with information, you're going to be at a position to where you don't even take action because you're stuck analyzing everything and trying to find the perfect thing that works for you. And because of this, you just end up never taking action and never actually making the progression. And sure, it's cool for you to know a little bit about this or about that, but it makes absolutely no difference if you just sit around and absorb all the information that you can and not do anything about it or do anything with it than if you were to just not do anything at all. So the first phase that you need to put yourself through is rewiring your mindset for growth. And I'm going to talk about this a little bit before we dive into everything else, because this is one of the biggest things that you guys need to understand. Like I said, if you're in a position to where you have this fixed mindset to where you're like, I can't do it because of this, my genetics won't allow me. Oh my goodness. I have to edit this out to make sure my computer didn't die. But if you put yourself in a state of mind to where you're saying you can't do it because of your genetics or some sort of outside factor, or it's too hard or this or that, you're sabotaging your own growth. You're not putting yourself in a position to where you can actually make the progress that you want, because in your mind, you're not going to do it. In your mind, you already lost. So if you think like that, that's exactly how you're going to act. So even if you show up to the gym with the mindset of, man, no matter what I do, nothing is going to change for me. No matter what I do, it's just not going to work. Then you're going to put yourself in a position to where you're not even going to input in the way that you need to be inputting. But on the opposite end of that, if you are operating from a growth mindset to where you're like, maybe I'm in this position, but if I do this, then I'm going to get the result. Maybe I do have genetics that cause me to be smaller to begin with, but I don't have to be stuck there. Even if you are able to switch these little tiny thought processes that you're having in your mind, they can make a huge difference either for your benefit or for you being stuck. And the easiest way that you can do this little mindset shift is to not look at yourself as someone who's trying to bulk, but to look at yourself as an athlete that is on his journey to achieving the thing that you want. So right now, if you see yourself as a skinny guy is trying to be big or trying to get big, then you're going to operate like that. You're not trying, you're actively doing. And that's why you keep failing, because you're stuck in a loop of failing, quitting, and repeating that cycle over and over again. But the moment that you stop identifying as the skinny guy or victimizing yourself in this kind of category, then that's going to be the moment where you can shift that to being a disciplined athlete that actually does the thing that he needs to do. And then that's going to be the moment where everything changes. So you can even take it to an extreme and start telling yourself that you're a bodybuilder. And before every meal, you can ask yourself, what would a disciplined athlete be eating right now? Or put a daily reminder in your phone to tell yourself who you're becoming or who you want to be. And when you make this identity shift, it may seem like something that is going to be so minuscule, but the moment that you do that, that consistency and you in your mind being that version of yourself is going to reflect on the outside. And that's when all these inputs start becoming automatic. And phase two is actually just developing a training style that forces you to grow. Most skinny guys lift weights the wrong way, but this is how you train to actually change that. And the biggest way that you can do this, let me see if I can put myself over here so I'm not in the way of this. I'm not sure why there we go. So here are just 3 laws that you can follow to make sure that you're actually training the way that you need to. Law number 1 is time under tension, because your muscle growth is going to come from you controlling the amount of stress that you're putting on whatever musculature that you're targeting, It must go sound like one of those super science based guys. But your muscle growth is going to come from the amount of controlled stress that you put on the musculature over time. But if you're just moving the weight or throwing the weight around with no good form, no actual time under tension, then you're just wasting your time. Sure, you can make some sort of growth, but at the end of the day, if you are not actually controlling the weight that you need to in a way that you need to be controlling it, then you're just leaving gains on the table, and that could be another reason why you're stuck. And law number 2 is if you're not getting stronger, you're not growing. In every workout, you need to actually be pushing yourself. A lot of you guys can show up to the gym and just try to do the exact same thing that you did last time, and you count that as progression. You count that as if that is a great thing, and you're like, oh well, last week I was able to do this way, I can still do it this way. No, you need to understand that you have to be progressively overloading all of the time in order for you to make the most progress possible. So this looks something like, let's say you were to do 135 on bench for 3 last week, and a couple weeks from later you can do a bit more. So other than you loading up the exact weight and doing the exact same amount of reps, you need to challenge yourself and put yourself in a position to where you're forcing yourself to push as hard as you possibly can. And let's say the couple weeks later you add 10 more pounds for the same amount of reps, that is still you progressively overloading, because you're putting your body in a position to where it has to push itself harder than it did last week or harder than it did last lift. And you do this every single week, week by week. You have to push yourself, because if you don't, then one, you're not training as effectively as you could be, and two, you're just going to put yourself in a position to where you're just kind of content with that type of progression that you've been making. But in reality, you're not making any progress almost at all if you're just trying to maintain what you did last week. And law 3 is just muscle fiber activation. And all this is like I said, you really pushing yourself to the point to where your body has to grow. So those last 2-3 reps that you have to really grind out and force yourself to get up, and you feel like you literally cannot do one singular rep after that, that is the way that you need to be training. You need to be training in a way that you're going as hard as you possibly can. So that way you force your body to adapt, thus forcing your body to grow or forcing the muscle to grow. Because without you doing these things, you're just, one, leaving gains on the table, like I said, and two, you're just not doing the things that you need to be doing. And that's why you're still going to be stuck, because you're not following these 3 laws. And if you guys don't follow an actual training plan, that's another reason why you're in the dark and you're not really making the progress that you should be. If you're just going into the gym and you don't even have a set plan in mind, you don't even know what muscle group you're going to hit, you don't even know what weight or rep ranges you should be aiming for, that's another reason why you're not making the progress that you should be making, because you're literally putting yourself in the dark. You're going into the gym and you're just trying to do whatever you think is the right thing to do. And one, that could lead to your physique being unproportional, and two, you have no way to linearly make progression without that plan. And here, let me move this back down here, because let's go back there. So this is just a basic training plan that you guys can screenshot and use to at least have some sort of direction. This is just like a PPO split. And it's so important for you guys to understand that you have to follow a set training plan in order to make the most progress possible. So you can do something like this. You can do a push day with chest, shoulders, and triceps. You can do a lower body day. You can do an upper body day, pull being back and by, and then you can do lower legs and core, and then arms and core, and then you rest or just do active recovery. But it doesn't matter whether or not you feel like you need to follow a training plan, because at the end of the day, you 100% need to. So this is just an example that you can use, but there's so many different splits out there that you can follow. But if you haven't been following one, just follow this one, because at the bare minimum, you have something to gauge or something to reference. And phase 3 is going to be the bulking method that works even if you have a small appetite, because at the end of the day, eating is not about force feeding yourself. It's about eating strategically. And this is the way that you're going to go about it, because I know a lot of you guys struggle to get your calories in. A lot of you guys don't really know how you're going to hit that caloric surplus, because you're sitting here force feeding yourself food that has little to no calories, and then you're full, then you're eating until you're almost throwing up. And that way, you're doing it that way is not going to be sustainable over time. So here are 3 ways that you can make bulking even easier and so you can maintain it long term. First, and one of the easiest ways that you can start getting your calories in is to just drink them. You can drink anywhere from 5 to 700, or you can even make shakes upwards to 1500 calories before you eat your solid meals. Or if you ever have a day to where you really have to cram your calories in and you don't want to be force feeding yourself right before you go to bed, then you can just drink 1,000 calories and free up that space, and then making sure that you're still hitting those macros every single day. And another thing that you can do is just swap the low calorie foods for more calorie dense ones. If you're eating low calorie foods, you're going to have to eat a ton of volume. And that is going to put you in the position to where, like I said before, you're going to be full. You're going to be almost not able to hit your calories at all because you're forcing down so much volume, but eating so little calories. So the easiest way to do this is just to switch those meals out. If you've been eating a ton of low calorie foods, swap them for something else, and then you can start actually hitting that caloric goal, hitting that caloric surplus every single day. And then the third thing that you can do is set a timer to eat for every 3 hours. And the biggest thing is, a lot of you guys say, oh, I'm not hungry. Don't have an appetite. I really don't want to eat right now. And I understand that because I've been in the same position. But at the end of the day, if you're doing this, you have to eat when it's time to eat, not just when you feel like eating. So set a timer for every 3 hours, and when it goes off, go eat something. I'm not saying go eat the whole kitchen or eat 7,000 calories in one serving. No, just go eat something and do so consistently. And you putting yourself in a position to where you're consistently eating and being active and doing cardio and doing this and doing that, you're actually going to adapt to that and end up becoming hungrier over time. And if you just follow these 3 steps, eating enough is going to feel way easier, and you're going to have more of a direction to actually do so on a consistent basis. And when it comes to being a skinny guy, this is 100% the hardest thing for you guys to do, because you guys can go train, you guys can follow a routine, you guys can do this and do that. But when it comes to your eating, this is the biggest thing that is holding you guys back. And the moment that you're able to get on top of this is going to be the moment to where you get the most progress possible, because your biggest thing holding you back is just the fact that you're not getting enough food in, the fact that you're not growing because you're not eating enough. So if you're able to follow these 3 steps, then you're going to be definitely on track to making the most progress that you possibly can. Now, what happens next is up to you. You can do option 1, ignore this, don't do anything, don't take action and stay stuck. Or option 2, you can try to figure it out on your own. And don't get me wrong, it can 100% work, or it will work, but it could possibly take you anywhere from months to years going through trial and error, trying to figure out everything, fit everything into your schedule. Or you could work with me directly and start getting your results now. So if you're ready to finally build muscle, here's what you need to do next. Click the link in my description and apply now. And I'll see if you're a good fit. If you are, I'll personally take you through this whole process step by step. So stop wasting time. The only thing that's holding you back between you and the body that you want is making the decision to start. So make that decision now, apply everything that you learned. And if you're ready to get something going, like I said, click the link in my description and we'll figure everything out moving forward.